You probably didn't expect this video coming from me, because I don't really talk about film on my channel, but hey, whatever. Recently, I've seen just so many videos on YouTube about people's opinions on Captain Marvel, and people have very strong opinions. Initially, I wasn't really that interested in going to see this film in the theater because I am a Marvel fan, but I'm not like avid fan, like the fan who would not miss anything coming from Marvel. Also because I basically have no idea about who Captain Marvel is as a character, so I wasn't really that interested in her to begin with. I wasn't planning to actually go and see this movie, but because of so much noise and so much going on with this film, the Rotten Tomato thing, if you don't know, just Google it, and so many people are talking about it, I was like, okay, I'm actually intrigued. I'm gonna go and see the film and make up my own mind about it. And I went on a Tuesday because I can watch it half price. And I pick the cheapest version, which is not even 3D. So it's like $6.5. That's reasonable to spend just because I'm curious about what this film is. I'm super looking forward to Endgame in April. I think that's what everybody really wants to see coming from Marvel. Talking about emotional trauma, hey, we're just willingly going to it. Also, this video will definitely contain spoilers of this film, so if you don't want to get spoiled, I'll let you know when you should exit. My overall impression about this film is it's actually not as bad as a lot of people making it out to be. At least from all the videos that seem to just come up to me, or when I search Captain Marvel review and stuff on YouTube, people tend to just give it a really negative view. I think it's mostly due to Brie Larson's remark about white dude and press junkie and all that stuff. Yeah, I think most people just weren't happy with what she said and how she delivered it, and it just gets bring over to the film. So I understand that, because personally I'm not a fan of what she said either, and also the way she said it. It just sounds like a really not thoughtful, not well thought out, and definitely not well meaned and not respectful remark. And I'm not a fan of identity politics. I'm not a fan of group mentality. And it's very strange for somebody who comes from China to see the current sort of dominant in this really weird wave of what people would call regressive left opinion in the West. That it's just really weird for a person, okay, who comes from China, who personally didn't go through Cultural Revolution, but had her parents and older generations in the family telling me since I was a child about the horrible things that happened. We have a northern neighbor that used to be Soviet Union that just has an epically bad history about when group identity goes haywire, what happens. And then we also have a northeastern neighbor, North Korea, right now. Not a good place to be. As a Chinese, I'm really fortunate that I was born after the really bad period, and I benefit from people stop thinking about grouping people into classes, put people into categories, and therefore one is pitted against the other and there always has to be somebody on top of the other. It's good that the society stopped thinking like that and people realize we need to get on with our life and actually eat and be safe and just have basic needs met, and probably after that cultivate personal individual things. So coming from that country and knowing what happened in that part of the world for the later half of the last century, it's just really baffling for me to see people in the West going in a direction that's not leading to anything productive or good. So personally, I'm not a fan of any of those things, and I don't like Brie Larson's comment. I think it's really not wise to say that. Does it have to be? Therefore, you have to consider Captain Marvel the film with that in light? I think not necessarily either. So I went in to watch this film staying completely neutral. I think I did a really good job of not bringing what I know about what she said into watching this film. And I just want to judge this film as a superhero film, as it is. Entertainment piece, mainstream superhero Hollywood film, Disney film, yeah, Marvel film. So my opinion is it's an okay film. It comes from Marvel, therefore people expect more from it, because Marvel is the expert of superhero films, let's just be honest, right now in time. DC is trying to catch up, but Marvel had definitely an upper hand at a much earlier start. And they created basically the concept of something universe. And you can say there are franchises before Marvel, but the way they did superhero films, and they did it in such intensity within, say, last 15 years. So many films came out. It's never been done like this before. So they are the studio that created this. So you expect better things coming from them than anyone else who does superhero films. So in that way, I think it disappoints people more because you expect better things from Marvel. As Marvel's first female superhero lead film, people would just inevitably compare it to Wonder Woman. In a way, everybody expect Marvel would do a better job because Marvel has been doing a better job. Okay, the track record of the last decade or so. So I think that is why a lot of people are more disappointed in the fact that it comes from Marvel, but it's not up to their expectations, so therefore they think it's worse. Well, if you compare to other superhero films, this is not a bad one, but obviously it's not a good one either. And also comparing it to other Marvel's films, it is really not let's say in the first tier of the really good ones. I would still say it's better than Thor: The Dark World, because that one was just really weird. Yeah, that one is like, why did it happen in Marvel? If I have to give it a score between 1 to 10, I would give it somewhere between 6.5 to 7. That'd be the range that I would give a number for this film. And about Brie Larson's portrayal of Captain Marvel. I've seen so many reviews before I went to see this film that talk about how wooden she is or how stern she is. She has that face all the time. I actually don't think it's true. I mean, talk about stern face. I have a really stern face when I'm not talking. I'm not like having any emotional reaction. I'm just being very natural. And this is what I look like because my mouth are like downturned corners. So I naturally look like I'm not happy, which is not true. She doesn't really have a really bad stern face, but I think she actually smiles a lot in this film. But the thing is, she always smiles with a little bit tint of smirk. That kind of smile, that just kind of somebody who really feels really good about themselves a little bit too much. If she could turn that down a notch, it would actually probably be better. When I was watching the film, there are multiple occasions when I'm like, yeah, I would not like somebody who smiles like that to me. I know she's a good actress, but I think this role is just not a role that you can do a lot of justification on making it really likable, because inherently the script has a lot of problems. Which is now I'm gonna talk about what I think the biggest problem with Captain Marvel and why it makes it not a good enough film coming from Marvel. So spoilers ahead. I think the biggest problem of Captain Marvel is she's a character who is not relatable, and she's a character who didn't really grow in any sense. In the very sort of classic way of writing superheroes, right? You have a character's arc. Usually they would have to go through some big trauma, some big moment of change. Either it's to do with some inner growth or outer circumstances. They have to lose something, usually very dear to them, to kind of catapult them to a transformation. When you think about the really successful origin stories of superheroes Marvel has done, about Thor, about Iron Man, Doctor Strange, Captain America, when you think about, they almost have exact same structure, especially for the first three that I just said, Thor, Iron Man, and Doctor Strange. It's the same story, almost exactly. You have somebody who starts at a really relatively good high position, feeling really good about themselves, and then they encounter something that is catastrophic. It makes them question about their identity. It makes them doubt about themselves. It makes them lose their power and put them in real danger of losing what they believe is themselves or even their lives. So it's big challenge, big problems, and they have to find a way out of that. Whether it's literally find a way out of that cave or find his way back to be a god, as in Thor's case, or you know, losing what you identify with, which is Doctor Strange. His hands, his surgeon, now he doesn't have that, so what else is left there? And then they have to go on a journey to find a part of themselves that they didn't realize they have. Through a journey, becomes a better person, more powerful, but also with more humility. I mean, that's a very classic heroes story journey. Doesn't mean every superhero story have to follow that format, but it's a tried and true and really works. If you do the details right, it can really work. And it's a very classic way. I don't think there's any need to throw it away just because you want to do something different. You can definitely play with, the tradition. At least through that kind of storytelling, you become more emotionally attached to your hero. You realize your hero has vulnerability. Even though they're super powerful, they are also relatable. They have weak moments, they have human moments. And it's easy for audience to become attached to a character after they see through a very convincing journey of this person. Unfortunately, nothing like that happened with Captain Marvel. She really never encountered any significant threat to her identity, to her safety, to anything that she knows. She basically just comes in as a really powerful person who just happened to not remember what she is. Yeah, that's just the only problem she has. Because she's so powerful, even though she had this device on her neck that kind of controlled her superpower. Once she realized that, nobody can stop her. There's no extremely human moment of her. Even that one moment a lot of people talk about when she comes back to her old friend, the other female pilot, and they get connected, and that's when she remembered who she was before she had that blast and become superpower. Even in that moment, when you feel like, okay, you start to feel a little bit emotional things coming up, it is still not a moment where Carol Danvers is actually in any real crisis. She never encounters crisis. She just breeze through everything because she's so powerful. So I think the story just doesn't allow audience to actually get to know her, to find her relatable, and to somehow grow empathy, sympathy, whatever, with this character. She still feels very distant. Marvel makes her too powerful to the point where it is so easy for her to win, therefore it feels not earned. She gets her power by accident. And then, because it's so powerful that they can just do anything with it. Like, she turns herself into a missile and just run into space and then blow up a huge alien ship. It feels like cheat. It feels like when you play a computer game and basically you type in a code and you cheat. Like, you maximize your money and you maximize your HP or whatever. And also, a lot of people talk about the cat thing. The cat and Fury's eye. Personally, I don't have a huge problem with it. I don't think it's the best way to review why Fury lost his eyes. You almost always expect some epic things that happened to him that made him lose his eyes, but this one is just, it undercuts the weight of what he has said previously in other films about his eyes. Well, you can always argue that because Fury thought it's too embarrassing that he lost his eyes because of a cat scratch, that he just told everybody it's due to actually a much bigger and more sort of, heroic reason. And you can explain that way, but then when he lost his eye due to that cat, he still keeps the cat as a pet next to him. Maybe because the cat still has a tesseract in its belly, but like, if I lost my eye because of a cat, even though I like the cat, I probably would not keep it anywhere close to me. And also, a lot of people said the cat steal the show. I'm like, no, the cat is just a cute ginger cat that's partially real and partially CGI'd. And it's pretty awful when it turns into the octopus thing and eats everything that it sees. Like, it can eat anything. It can eat the Tesseract and it's fine. This happened in the 90s, right? So use the cat before anything happened to eat Thanos or the Gauntlet. Then nothing in Infinity War would need to happen. Or maybe before Avenger even existed, just call back Captain Marvel and let her deal with the aliens in New York or Thanos. It's just like this film is kind of trying to undo a lot of things previous Marvel films have done that's just not good. And we now know she will definitely show up in Endgame. I hope she's only there for like a very short period of time, and there's gonna be a reason why she cannot do the fight and why she cannot, I don't know, there's very little she could do, and then she exits. And let's just leave Endgame to the original Avengers, because they deserve a really good film dedicated to them, tying up all the ends of the past decade, over a decade long, and moving to the new era of Marvel. Please don't make Carol Danvers very important in Endgame. That would be really bad. That will make me very angry. So in the end, is Captain Marvel a failure? No. It did really well internationally, it did really well in China. And I don't think it's a huge problem, but it's already a problem starting to show. If Disney is clever enough, I think they should think very carefully for what they want to do with this character in the future. It's not at a point where there's no return. There's not at the point where you cannot salvage Captain Marvel as a character. But they really need to do a good job for the next whatever film they want to put her in as a main character. Before I go, in case you don't know, the opening weekend of Endgame will be the same weekend where we'll see Battle of Winterfell from Game of Thrones. Okay, so that's gonna be a weekend where a lot of people we really care about exit. A story that a lot of us care about for over a decade. Yeah, officially the most emotionally traumatic weekend for a lot of people in 2019. I can't wait to have it destroy me completely. Thank you for watching Avenue X. I'll see you in my next video. Meanwhile, live long and happy film watching.